Welcome everyone to the New Fly Fisher. On today's show we sample some of the great fly fishing opportunities available in the Casper, Wyoming area. First, we join Trent Tatum to float the North Platte River for trout. We then join Mark Bonham to sample some of the arm-wrenching carp fishing in their local reservoirs. We finish in the Rattlesnake Mountains with Mike Phillips to fish some small streams for feisty brown trout. It's going to be a great show, so stay with us.
Let him go back to live another day.
Oh, baby.
Look at that fish.
World record!
We talked earlier about having the optimum conditions. Here we've got perfect conditions.
This is a good example of the family Heptageneidae.
This is why you need a lot of backing.
On today's show we visit Casper, Wyoming. This is an extremely rugged and beautiful area and is a fly fisher's paradise. The North Platte River runs right through the middle of the city and is well known for its trout fishing. Casper Area Convention and Visitors Bureau CEO Kurt Box tells us all about this part of Wyoming.
Casper, Wyoming is an interesting place. It was a meeting place even before there was a town here. What happened was it was a convergence of trails. There was the Pioneer Trails, the Oregon Trail, the California Trail, the Pony Express, the Mormon Trail. All those trails converged in Casper because of the fact that it was the best place to cross the North Platte River. Because back, obviously in those times, there wasn't dams to regulate the water flow. And so the North Platte River was much bigger and wider at that point, and there was a good crossing area in Casper. And so that's kind of where Casper got its start. And then from there, it kind of went into a phase where it was a cattle town, where ranches and cattle drives came through here. But then in the late 1800s, oil was discovered at about 40 miles north of Casper. And that's where Casper really took off and boomed. It became known as, in that time, in the early 1900s, the oil capital of the Rockies.
On the first part of our show, we'll be floating the North Platte River for trout. Joining me today is North Platte Lodge guide, Trent Tatum. The techniques we'll be using today are stripping streamers and drifting nymphs using 6-weight rods. When stripping streamers, some areas that are a must to cast to are seams, back eddies, and rocks along the shore. Accuracy in casting is a must. Experiment with different retrieves to find fish. Fast, slow, or erratic. The fish will dictate what they want that day.
Slow that strip down just a hair. Let's go try a little slower stripping.
Yes. All right. What did I say? Trent, right off this rocky point. I don't know how big it is yet, but it's giving a good shake. I have a rocky point right here. This is where I took the fish off of, just off the end there. It's the same as any other stream. You got to look for structure, something the fish can hide behind. It's not very big, but it'll do.
Ate the orange blossom.
There we go. Again, I'll let Trent handle the fish. It's important that we get the fish back in very quickly. Our temperatures are up, so it stresses the fish less. And away it goes. Very good.
Well done.
Thank you.
Here we're gonna.
And he was right where you're supposed to be. Right exactly where you're supposed to be, behind a rock point.
Action on streamers started to slow, so this dictated a change in my tactics. I'll change to a dead drift nymph setup using a strike indicator at the top of my leader. The leader is 10 feet long and I place the split shot 14 to 16 inches from my nymph. This is a deadly technique and it didn't take long to hook up.
There we go, fish on. Yeah. Oh, it feels good too. Fish on, yes. And he's gonna lead us around. Now what we were shooting for here, folks, is just seams. This is a big, big expanse. It's not a very big fish, but... And again, Trent will handle a fish for me. Which one did you take? The small one?
Yep.
Took the very, very tiny nymph this time. What nymph is that anyways?
It's actually a fly Brett came up with on the Bighorn in Montana.
Oh,
It's called a Brett Special.
Another small one. Nothing huge. Oh, maybe a little bit bigger. Oh, I think I better get him on the reel then. He's fooling me here, playing possum. Yeah, it's a little bigger fish. Oh, a little bigger fish, yeah. Good man, all right. Any little indication of movement with the indicator, you must strike. Oh yeah, it's a much better fish. The colors are just vibrant. Something in there? There we go. And again, Trent, if you do the honors for me, please. I really don't want to handle the fish. The weather's too warm, water's too warm. So just, Trent is used to handling the fish here, and then get them back in the water as quick as possible. Such a pleasant day. There you go. That was definitely a no mistake take. That was definitely a no mistake take. Now we're in deeper water here, and the seam is fairly hard to see, but Trent has kept this right off of it, and I'm running the inside of it, and this is a good fish. This is a good fish. And it was a no mistake take. The indicator went right under, and I set the hook just as soon as it went under. And he's staying down. The fishing here is absolutely spectacular. Not just good, spectacular. All wild fish, very strong. This guy, he's a good fish. Oh boy, oh, get him out from underneath there.
It's a nice fish.
He took the leech, didn't he? Mm-hmm. We got to get it back in the water as soon as we can. And away it goes. Very good.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
Wyoming has the largest population of pronghorn, and a lot of people refer to them as antelope, but they're not actually antelope. But they have the largest population of pronghorn in the world. And so seeing antelope, you actually start taking them for granted at some points. But when people from outside this region come in, they're amazed at how many antelope there are. And the propensity of deer and elk and being able to see them is what's amazing. With elk, it is a rarity to see elk, but you will see them with regularity in this region. As far as waterfowl and other types of birds, that type of wildlife, they're abundant. We were just looking at some ducks right down here, and so wildlife is a part of this part of the country, and we appreciate them, and they're managed well. And people here seem to appreciate the wildlife, and we take care of them.
We now join guide Mark Bonhomme to sight fish for carp from the deck of a Florida-style flats boat. Mark guides for all species of fish but specializes in carp.
Mainly what I have out here is mirror carp and common carp. The mirror carp is actually a subspecies of the common carp, and possibly even a mutation, distinctly identified by a lack of scales, or just a few scales, and the common carp has all their scales. But that's one of the things you might want to, you really have to know is what species you're after, because if you're chasing grass carp, they're plankton eaters only and vegetarians, so you want to change your tactics a little bit.
You must be ready at any time to cast to a fish that is feeding. Hold your fly in your hand and have approximately 20 feet of line outside the rod tip, with another 20 feet of line coiled at your feet. This will allow you to cast 40 feet with one false cast.
Got it. There we go. Woo! Yeah, yo!
Right.
Okay, my man.
Just like the flats in Florida.
Oh, yes, exactly like the flats in Florida. Woo! And fight hard, my God. He got it right away. There was no doubt about that one. You have to have precise casting.
Yep.
And in this wind, it's been pretty tough. Now, what I want the audience to notice is Mark has got me with the butt in my belly here and side pressure. You've made a carper out of me, Mark. I'm telling you, this is absolutely spectacular. Well, this one certainly turned on it.
Oh yeah, he didn't hesitate.
He took one look at it and that was it. He wanted it.
You actually landed behind him and he turned around, he felt the vibration and turned around to see what it was and grabbed it.
There we go. All right. Now that is what it's all about. Very good. Very good. I'll let you do the honors. Let him go. Yeah, you got a bath. That was wonderful. That was wonderful.